The EP Podcast. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at theeppodcast.com.
Sitting down here at the 9-foot homemade oak bar, a good friend who I love it when he stops in here. I already know the answer to this question. Mark Marzullo, how are you?
Never had a bad day in my life.
There it is. I knew it was your phrase.
A few bumps in a row.
Right.
But I always say this, a bad day starts over in St. Mary's.
Yeah.
As long as I'm not in St. Mary's, it's a good day.
Yeah, as long as I'm not, as long as I'm 6 feet above ground, I'm happy.
I'm not in the mud. It's another good day in beautiful Evergreen Park.
And this village trustee, Mark Marzullo, and everything on this episode brought to you proudly by the First National Bank of Evergreen Park. Get the most out of your home with a home equity line of credit, otherwise known as a HELOC. Apply by June 30th. Get a special 6-month introductory rate of 4.79%. I'm telling you right now, you get the home equity line of credit when nothing bad is happening. When you don't need it, you go and you get it. And then you just keep it and you hold on to it. And then when that thing happens or that money's needed, you go and you use the home equity line of credit. They'll explain it all to you. Stop it and see them. 95th and Pulaski in that big iconic building. The First National Bank of Evergreen Park, member FDIC. You are still working hard. I know that we were going to do this maybe a week or so ago, and it was cold, and you get really busy with the company that you own here in Evergreen, and then you also, as a trustee, very busy as well. You are not ready for retirement, are you? Kathy Aparo is retiring, but you are not ready yet.
I'm a 66-year-old man trapped with an 18-year-old brain. Now, when I go work out and I run, I know I'm 66 years old. But the brain still thinks I'm that young guy at Evergreen Park High School football field, but I'm not that guy anymore.
Yeah, but you like to keep moving. So Kathy Aparo, city clerk, retiring after 40 years.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about your time working with her. Over the years now, you guys have probably gone through so much. Tell me a little bit about what it's been like working with Kathy over the years.
Well, Kathy's been instrumental in village politics, and even before that, she worked for the building department. She worked under Mayor Vacco, which was it wasn't a lucrative payday when you worked for Mayor Vacco in a day. He was a little tight on money. She worked with a gentleman named Rich DeBoer, who was just they were old school guys, and you worked hard and you kept your mouth shut, and and it was always difficult because you're back in the 80s and 90s, it was still tough for women when it was an all male-dominated field, all the political things. And, she hung in there with them. She proved, hey, I could do the job. And a lot of times I know before she became the clerk, she said, hey, people would give her a lot of guff. The male end of it, let's say, those guys are all long gone and passed away. But she survived. It made her a better person. And we were so fortunate to have her come on board as clerk. Because Kathy Aparo, she's one of the sweetest, nicest people you'll ever meet. It's just, she's got time for everybody. She goes to everything the mayor was doing on the grand opening. No matter what Kathy was doing, she thought she should be out there. And there was a lot of times the mayors aren't in. Mayor Vacco and Mayor Sexton was in. And Kathy and Mayor Burke may not be in the office. And Kathy was the one when people were irate at the counter, I want to talk to someone in charge. Kathy was the voice of reason. Always, calm down. How can we help you? How can we make this right? And a lot of times she said, boy, I just wanted to strangle some people, but my job is to make things right for the people of Evergreen Park. Whether right or wrong, I'm here to help them out. And that was her job.
Did she go to all the trustee meetings? Does the clerk go to those?
So the clerk doesn't have a vote, but is in charge of taking all the notes and basically running helping the mayor, assisting the mayor get prepared for the meetings. So in a typical is when Mayor Burke's not available, I get to run the meetings.
Ooh, you get to sit in the big chair?
Yeah, it's really a hot chair sometimes.
Do you get a gavel or anything like that?
They don't give me a gavel.
Air horn?
They hide it from me because they don't want me to turn into a dictator up there and make some new rules.
Do you get tempted to just start passing things or no?
They have told me just get through the meeting.
Who takes the most crap in a meeting? Is there a trustee?
The mayor takes the most.
The
crap,
mayor takes
always.
it. So people get up and just kind of you get people to get up and just rail, and it's the mayor, and you guys, the trustees, will sit back and just kind of watch as it goes. Like, kind of explain to me, like, who takes the most guff at a meeting?
It's always the mayor. So before every meeting, we have an open public meeting. And any resident is welcome to come and anything they have to say. We did that with Mayor Vacco. We did that with Mayor Sexton, and Mayor Burke has continued that. Where some municipalities don't want to hear any negative stuff. But hey, if you got something to say, please come to our meeting and let us know. Because if you don't tell us, sometimes maybe we don't know about it. Maybe there's an issue. So when people come, they're not really angry when they come. They have issues that they're passionate about.
You got to be passionate to show up at a board of trustees meeting to speak in front of a crowd to a panel of people that are listening. So I would think, if you're walking in there, you've got something to say.
They've got a beef, and it's usually something to do with snow removal or something they didn't like happen, and it's nothing major. Stop signs, and that's always been people commenting, talking about everyone, which we've talked about this forever. People driving like maniacs. But the mayor, a person gets up there, says their spiel, the mayor tries to answer them, and then the trustees will inject, if there's some expertise on our end that can help smooth the situation over, we'll inject some thoughts into the process. And the mayors have always said this: I've got your name, got your number, we've heard your complaint. Someone with the village, either me or someone will be out there the next day to take care of it. And that's the beauty part about Evergreen Park. That was great with Jimmy Sexton. The next day, if someone was at our meeting with a complaint, he'd be at their house the next day. What's your problem? Well, show me what's going on. The neighbor, they'd have a neighbor complaint or something. This is the great thing about Evergreen Park. Mayor Burke does the same stuff. The next day she's out there. Okay, you have this problem. I want to see it firsthand. I want to experience what you're experiencing so we can correct any issues they may have. So we don't let things fester. We get a complaint by a resident and we immediately address it.
Is there a trustee in one of these meetings? Because I know the mayor is super involved, and I'm sure she's asking a ton of questions. Okay.
Yes.
But is there a trustee, like in any kind of group, in any setting, in a classroom, you always have that one person that's got their hand up more than anybody else. Is there somebody that really gets into the meetings more than anybody else of your group of trustees that just loves like asking the questions, getting in the middle of it, mixing it up?
I think.
Is it you?
No, no. I think the longer you serve, the more you kind of have some knowledge on things. Trustee Carol Kyle, wonderful. She'll hear it and she will always follow up with questions. How did this happen? What happened? I'm a little bit on that too. But most of the trustees all chime in equally.
Yeah.
If I hear something passionate, the Italian comes out and I'll start going off the rails.
Your hands start waving around.
How do you keep an Italian quiet? Tie his hands together. But if there's something passionate or I see some disservice out there, we'll just say, hey, but 99.9% of the times the residents just come with a complaint that they want a village official to listen to, and they want it rectified.
Yeah.
that's all they want.
Yeah. And not everybody's got a podcast where they can just say what they're bothered by. I've done that before.
No.
I've done that before.
No.
I'm sure you've heard
You got a
that
big
before.
microphone.
Yeah. Not everybody's got that. So you go to the Board of Trustees meetings, which are every other week on a Monday, right? You see
It's
the village
on a Monday,
website.
yes, 2 times a month, the first and third Monday of every month.
There you go. All right. So looking around the village the last couple of weeks, super cold, and it seems like a lot of fire calls. I've seen them. I don't know if you've noticed it. A lot of ambulance calls, a lot of fire calls. They seem really busy. A lot of public works out because of the cold weather.
Yes.
I would imagine there's a lot of things that are all associated with the weather, but I didn't hear any problems. It seems like they were able to cover everything. So you feel like everything's been running smoothly?
Well, our biggest difficulty always when it gets sub-zero weather is water mains breaking because they won't until it starts thawing out. We had a couple go.
They had a break right in front of the First National Bank of Evergreen Park.
Yes,
they had a main break. I was in there just the other day, and I'm like, "What's going on?" They're like, "We got water."
Could you imagine this? And this is why our street department people are just phenomenal. It's 10 below zero. You got to be out there in a ditch with water squirting all over you to make the job happen.
Yeah.
And our guys do it, and they do it with a smile on their face because they know they're there. We can't have these residents without water. We can't do this. And they go out there, and our village employees are so dedicated to this town. And you never hear them complain. You never hear them say, oh my God, I had to go out in 10 below zero. Hey, that's their job. They don't want to be there probably, but that's their job. Who wants to be out at 10 below zero? But boy, they get called at midnight and there's a water main break. And they're out there taking care of business.
Before we keep going here, I've got to get my tickets, my $30 tickets to the Evergreen Park Library's 2024 Sip and Sample. Tickets are running out fast. This Saturday, February 10th, it kicks off at 6 p.m. 21 and over. Again, $30 gets you in. Live music, wine, food, dessert samples, cash bar available, split the pot, and prize baskets. And it's all going to benefit the EP Library Foundation. And there's so many places that are participating. Spoken Vine is participating, Baracco's, Chai Tung, La Cucina, Pete's Fresh Market, Binny's, Iris Brewery and Cider House, Revolution Brewing, Durbin's of Evergreen Park, 115 Bourbon Street, Chuck's Southern Comforts Cafe. Eat some food, drink some wine, mingle amongst the books. Really one of the best events all year long. See more at evergreenparklibrary.org or give a call to 708-422-8522 for more info. All right, so I want to do something fun with you, Mark Marzullo. Okay,
Fun's my middle name.
We're going to take a walk through Evergreen Park Facebook.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
No, none of these are hard. Trust me, I'm not putting you on the spot with any here. I just want to kind of get your take on them, okay? So this one here, I think I know how you're going to kind of answer it, but I wanted to throw it out there. Somebody put themselves anonymous on the Evergreen Park Neighborhood Watch page earlier this month and talked about the fact that they had 3 people wandering around in their fenced-in backyard. One identified themselves as a health inspector, another as animal control, and the third never said who they were. Is this normal? Do village employees casually let themselves onto your property? And do they have identification? I know the answer, but I want to give you an opportunity to tell people that you are a real village that has uniforms and IDs.
We do have IDs on all our village inspectors. They might not have a complete uniform with their jacket on, wouldn't be recognizable, but in the summertime, they all got matching shirts and wear khaki pants or sometimes blue jeans. But what happens is, and part of that complaint that we had heard about was...
Oh, you heard about this? Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I just went searching on Facebook to find something to talk about.
You call up our village and say, I have a rat problem. And this complaint you're talking about was about rats.
Okay.
We have a rat issue, but boy, we're over it. We're combating with everything we have. So we have an outside company that comes out certain times of the week that works with our village inspectors. So usually these guys get out at 6:30 in the morning. First light, they're out. Now, they're just reacting to a call from a village resident or maybe the next door neighbor. So they don't want to pound on a guy's door at 6 in the morning or 6:30 in the morning. They just try to go in their yard, do a quick inspection, get out of there.
Look for the rats.
And most people come out and say, oh, who are you? Oh, we're the village. You got your ID. And they all have the IDs on them. And they're, oh, thank you. Just want to know who's in my backyard. And the inspector would say, listen, it was 6:15. I don't want to wake your whole family up. I just want to get in and out of here, okay? In this instance, the person was surprised. He goes, hey, you guys called about rats, okay? Somebody called about rats. We're here to inspect, and it's 6:15 in the morning or 6:30 in the morning, and we don't want to bother you. And the guy was irate about it. I'm going to call the police, blah, 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 blah. It's unfortunate. Our village inspectors have been talked to and said, listen, you got to start knocking on the doors. I know you had great intentions in not waking these people up and not roasting the whole family up. But you got to knock on the doors and wake the people up, I guess.
Right.
I don't know if we were afraid, will the guy be more mad if we're in their yard or more mad if he wake his butt out of bed? You're in a catch-22.
I mean, I didn't even know I thought that this story was just going to be, you would be like, yeah, if they're a village person, they have an ID. I didn't know you would know this whole story. I think this is incredible.
I know.
You got finger on the pulse of everything that's going on.
I got to know what's going on because as soon as I read it on social media, I made some, I talked to the mayor, I talked to everybody, and, my village inspectors are always respectful. They don't want to. They're here to solve a problem for the resident, not cause a problem for the resident.
Yeah.
So I think they've been told, maybe you can go at 7:30, but we try to get in there early and try to mitigate these problems as fast as we can. Because if someone calls tonight and says, "I saw a rat in my yard,"
yeah,
we might be out there the next day. And we want to get it stopped. And plus, we have an outside company that is on limited time, and they want to start at the crack of dawn, these companies. So,
Well, you want to catch the rats too. The rats go underground in the middle of the day a lot of times. Like my dad used to tell me that because here's the thing that'll creep you out if you didn't know it. All those planters in downtown Chicago that are running down the middle of the streets, they're just covered with rats underneath. Like if you peeled the grass back, it's just a giant thing. It's like a box of rats in those big concrete things. They just live in there in downtown Chicago. Like the police officers know it. The people that like work for the city of Chicago know that there's just nothing but them inside of those planters. I've been told by multiple people, including Dad, when he would tell me like, "Oh yeah, those things are disgusting." Like they're out in the early hours. So I understand that. I get
that's
the 6 a.m.
try to get them in
thing.
early hours when they're out doing things. I'll give you an example. I live right by Jacob's Well, and when they tore up that parking lot, there's where the rats come out.
Right.
And I had a few rats in my garage. Village came out, poisoned the heck out of them. I saw a mouse in my garage. I go, well, I don't have rats then. if you don't have a mouse, you don't have a rat.
I had one run through my backyard, I want to say about a year ago in the summertime.
Right.
And the dog gave chase. And it was like one of those things where I was sitting there and I saw this big thing run across and then I saw the dog chase it. And I was like, well, that rat is not going to make it through the yard. And that was my rat control. The dog was my rat control.
It wasn't a fat mouse. It was a rat.
All right, here, let's take a look at this one here in the Evergreen Park neighborhood news and info. And this one here, I mean, I don't think the village can do any more than what they're already doing, but it brings me to a question. Mom posting that her daughter was hit by a car at 95th and Homan.
I know about this one.
You know about this one, and I'm glad that it looks like nothing broken. She's okay. And they had crossing guards in the street.
Yes.
It was a red light. The light turns green, and the driver just figures, green means go. I don't care if there's anybody in the street, and hits a kid at 95th and Homan. And, it seems like the traffic, in my mind, living on 99th Street, the signs that are flashing seem to be reducing speeds. I see an impact to some of the traffic things that have been put into place. How do you see it going? And is there anything else about that story?
That particular intersection where that happened, I go by it every single morning on my way to work. I go down Homan, I take a right-hand turn on Kedzie and go north to my place of business. So that particular morning, I saw a squad car, had someone pulled over. We have 2 crossing guards there. Big, bright yellow vests.
Yes.
Big, giant stop signs in their hands. So when this had happened, I called my daughter and I was talking to my daughter. And right away, you know what she said to me? I can tell you what happened. I said, what do you mean? You weren't there. She goes, Dad, I bet it was a person that was looking at their phone, light turned red. They're looking at their phone, see it's green, and go.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened.
That's exactly what happened.
Everybody's... How many times have you been at a stoplight and all of a sudden it turns green and nobody's moving?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Everyone's got to grab the phone and look at it because they might miss 2 seconds of information.
And I've been explaining that to my kids now who are driving. Like one's 18 and has a license and the other one's 15, and I'm teaching them how to drive. And that's one of the things that I will explain to them in traffic. Like, this never happened. When I was a kid, you didn't see the light turn and everybody was just like paused. Nobody was distracted enough in their car. It's a completely different way of dealing with things. And there are times where they'll be like, why is this guy driving like this? I'm like, guaranteed he's on his cell phone. And you pull up and there they are. They're driving
absolutely
with their knees while they're typing with their phone. And that's one of the biggest issues that's out there. I'm glad that she's okay.
She was tapped. I mean, the kid looked up, stopped. But people say, what more can we do? We have a red light. We have 2 people with giant signs.
Right.
This world, nobody wants to do the little things right anymore. A stop sign is a glorified yield sign. A yellow light means if I'm 2 blocks away, I'm going to floor it till I get through that. I don't want to wait. They floor it through yellow lights. I can kind of remember that when I went to driver's ed, they said a yellow light means slow down, stop. Okay, you're coming to an intersection. Now it means floor it as fast as you can and get through that yellow light. Everyone's in a hurry to go nowhere. They're going to get there just the same time.
Right.
It's just nobody wants to do the little things right. Now, if you can't do the little things right in life, how can we expect these people to grow up and do the big things right? They're never going to do it right. Just listen, you're building a house here and you don't start at a foundation. You start at the bottom and work up. And if you can't get the foundation right, the house will crumble. So until these people start figuring that out, younger people, that you can't have your phone in your face anymore, you got to stop at stop. Stop signs aren't there because the village thinks that want to put them up there because they look nice, because residents complain constantly about people blowing through intersections. Now,
the new thing, I'll tell you this on 99th Street, and I've seen Evergreen Park Police already get 1 or 2 people doing it, is that it's so effective as you're driving down 99th. And I always refer back to 99th because, one, it gets very busy during certain times of the day. You have multiple schools on it.
Yes.
From Kedzie, actually from the tracks to the east of Kedzie to all the way to Pulaski. You've got Evergreen Park High School. You run into Southwest. You've got Macaulay and you've got Rice on there. Okay. Plus the kids that are going to Redeemer or Martyrs, there are kids that are crossing those streets and they're being driven around. So it gets very busy in the morning and around school time. And what I've noticed is with the new signs that are reminding people, hey, it's 20 miles an hour and it's a school zone.
Those have worked well.
And all that stuff working so well, and that flashing sign. I mean, I'll be honest, I've driven down there and I've noticed the sign is flashing at me and I'm like, I really need to slow down. I'm an idiot. Like, I've done it. It's effective, right?
Yes.
But what it's doing is it's now slowed down traffic to where it should be. And those that cut through Evergreen have now, I've seen frustration. I've actually seen people accelerate and drive in oncoming traffic like they're on like a 2-lane highway in the country and cut around cars because they're mad that they're going 20 miles an hour because the road, this is still their fastest way to where they're going is cutting down the street. And I've noticed EP police grab a few of them, and I hope they throw a book at them for it because that's even more dangerous. But that also tells me it's working, right? It's frustrating the real problems that are out there. And if you frustrate them by slowing down traffic, maybe they find a different route. And then you really kind of make it a much safer pathway. And I want to say that 91st, I've heard the same kind of complaints.
Oh, God, it's a super highway.
Those 2-lane roads that cut through, people think that that's a shortcut. And reducing those speeds, if it frustrates the people that use it as a shortcut, then you would think that eventually they'll be like, fine, I'm just going to stay on the main roads. Yeah.
And that's 91st has always been it's kind of a shortcut. We've had police constantly monitoring that. I know our Traffic and Safety Commission is really been studying that, and we're going to address that. You know, we wanted to go speed bumps, but then the village, the guys who run the plows said, hey, speed bumps are the worst thing we can have because our drivers hit them and it screws up our plows and we don't know where they're at when the snow's buried, and it makes it. We tried those we had a couple of those turning circles, and you're supposed to go around a circle to take. They just cut through them and everything.
Yeah.
We had one incident.
Yeah, the guy in the summer that drove over it.
I think we talked about over on 90, where the guy just went right through
just
the
drove
whole
right
thing.
through the circle.
Why go around it when you can go through it?
Yeah, off-roading through the traffic circle.
That goes back to my original statement. Our police are very busy. And for that, now we got to say, you got to do all the stop sign, mate. You got to, and they've been very aggressive on it, and we've raised the fines on it.
Yeah.
Maybe someday people will start doing the little things right again.
You know what? And I see the enforcement, so I know that they're out there, okay? Because I see it all the time. I was at a stop sign just yesterday, and the guy in front of me blew the stop sign, and out of nowhere, here comes the EPPD and pulled him over right away.
Him.
And I did a fist pump. I really enjoy it when that happens. Building relationships, supporting the community, and service. These are the things that Country Financial stands for. They're more than just an office you may pass by as you drive through Evergreen Park. They're neighbors who lend a helping hand and support the fabric of your community, including charitable organizations, sports, financial education, and civic organizations. And since Country is already your neighbor, they want to get together and chat. Call your local Country Financial representative, Mike Thauer, today at 708-425-1559 to talk about the things that are important to you and how he can help you protect them. The Repeat Podcast Word on the Street brought to you by Spoken Vine Wine Bar and Bottle Shop. An incredible bar, a great lounge area, a wine shop attached to it. So you go and you sample all of the amazing wines they have, and then maybe you bring something home that you like. Really good food, 21 and over establishment. See more at SpokenVineWines.com. We're having a conversation right now with Village Trustee Mark Marzullo. You can have a conversation with Mayor Kelly Burke on February 24th at the Community Center from 9 to 10 a.m. It's Coffee with the Mayor. Go have a cup of coffee and talk with the mayor about any issue you want to talk about. Also, a reminder for you that the Village of Evergreen Park and the Community Blood Center are hosting a Community Blood Drive on Saturday, February 10th, coming up here at 9 a.m. going until noon at the EP Senior Center, 9547 South Homan. Schedule your donation at communityblood.org/donor in advance. We're going to go right back to Mark Marzullo. This last segment brought to you by sidsauce.net. Get your hot sauces with the peppers grown here in Evergreen Park. The sauces made here, each and every one of them delicious. One for every palate. Check them out at sidsauce.net. I wanted to ask you a little bit about the places that are happening right now in Evergreen Park and kind of get your take on it. Like, I noticed two places right off the top of my head. Porter Cullen's looks like it's got brand new sign. It's all lit up inside. The new owner in there is kind of putting his take on the place, and it always looks like it's got people there. You know, like it really starting to look. And the American Legion seems to have kind of changed up their thing. They seem to be having events now constantly. They got live entertainment on the weekends. They got things going on during the week. They do these big like concerts and stuff like that. They seem to be kind of popping off. In Evergreen Park, anybody standing out to you right now is like the place to be?
I think you kept Porter Cullen's. Exactly. I mean, you never know when you're going to get a new owner, how it's going to work out, and it's worked out well.
That sign is interesting. Did he have to go to you guys with that sign because he was in the neighborhood? It's not a bright light up sign on the side of it. Like, it was almost done like with the idea that I have neighbors here, so I want to kind of put some pop on it.
Right.
But I also don't want to have a big, giant, bright neon sign.
I'm not sure if he had to get village approval for that, but when we meet with new owners, we want them to be aware that you're in a residential neighborhood here.
Yeah.
Okay. You got to tell your people they can't park down the streets because we do have no permit parking only in that area.
Yeah.
But don't start doing it, because what's going to happen is we're going to ticket them and we're going to tow them, because these people have a right. We don't want your business infringing on them, and they've parked over on Central Park and Southwest at night. They put that new little party room in the back. The previous owner started that. That's done well. So that's been a great addition over there that you never know what you're going to get when you're in the middle of a residential neighborhood. And especially that type of business where there's alcohol being served, but they don't have the rowdy crowd. They don't have the brawls.
They really don't. They never had that with the first owner, and I don't see it
never
here either.
Any
They
trouble
do a really good job over there.
Never any trouble there.
Even on St. Pat's Day, when you would think people would be a little rowdier, it's one of the more fun. It's one of the more fun places to go hang out. I normally get in there every St. Patrick's Day.
They close earlier. They're not. It's not the Western Avenue bar that's open at 3 a.m. and brawls are. We've all lived that life where the brawls are on the street. It's just kind of a neighborhood place. They want to serve good food, great TVs to watch sports on.
Yeah.
That's their whole motif, and this new owner is improved. The food's good. Everything's good with them. Legion's done well. Legion's, when we first gave them they're the first ones only. They have the video poker machines.
Yeah.
And they did well with it. They had the Queen of Hearts going on for a long time over there, made a ton of money on it, and took that money and spent it on the building, improved it. And that banquet hall's always filled up over there.
Really nice over there. It's one of those spaces you always see people like going like, where can I have an event? And it's like, whoa, have you seen what they've done over there? It's a really nice hall that they have right in the neighborhood.
The biggest thing that's popping in the non-restaurant field is the new Subaru dealership.
Oh, I was waiting for you to
They're very happy.
You get a Subaru yet? Did all the trustees get Subarus?
I'm looking at that one. I don't know. I never drove a Subaru. I didn't know much about them. And when they had their open house, I went out. I go, these things look pretty good.
Yeah, I kind of want to go try one out.
I never knew we were a Subaru dealership. And I'm always saying, hey, I want to keep the green in Evergreen if possible.
Yeah.
But I talked to the mayor last week. I said, what do you hear from those guys? And they go, they're very happy.
Good.
Their sales are good. They spent a fortune on that place.
Well, it's a beautiful building. It's a big area. I would imagine that's a really expensive business to start. You open up a Buffalo. I looked at franchises a long time ago before I decided to start my own company because I knew I wanted to work for myself. You open up Buffalo Wild Wings, it costs you $3 million. I can't imagine how much it costs for a car dealership.
It had to be way north. Listen, it had to be way north of that. And I always say this story. When Pete's, that used to be Frank's Nursery and Craft, and years ago in the 60s, it was a national food store. So it was looking run down, it was crummy, and it was it was going out of, it was empty, and Pete's came in to buy it. And then Pete's bought that property. He bought houses in back of it. He bought the old Kentucky Fried Chicken property. So I'm looking at this building and it's going up and I'm counting on my fingers. I says, no, I don't know what this guy's spending, but I can only guess he's got $10 to $12 million into this whole deal.
Right.
He's crazy. How can you spend that kind of money and sell groceries? Well, let me tell you something. If you go by that parking lot, those guys are really smart because they know Pete's is exploding everywhere now.
Yeah.
But here's a guy. I'm not in a grocery
He's
business.
so busy he may need a stoplight coming out of his parking lot.
We're working on that. That's an act of Congress to get a stoplight.
That's the one when you drive down 95th. As I approach Peach, I start looking to my right as I'm heading towards Oak Lawn, and I keep watching that lot because I don't know what's coming out of it and when it's going to pop out onto the street. That's how busy he is.
Mayor
for sure.
Burke's been doing everything she can to get a stoplight over on Hamlin Avenue. I'm sorry, and but to get anything like that,
But that's a state road.
And you got to go through
People
the state of
forget
Illinois.
that. People forget that 95th Street's a state road, and that's not the village's road.
And it's amazing how they want to.
Technically, the state police should be running down people on that road, but the state police don't cover the little state roads.
State police. They got enough troubles trying to get the highways. We got enough.
I used to make that argument to the state police all the time when I was doing 911. I would do that all the time when I was in the police dispatch. We'd have something we didn't want to handle, and I would call them up. I'd be like, "It's a state road." They're like, "It's 95th Street." I'm like, "But it's a state road." And we just don't have the manpower. Like we would mess with them an awful lot on that stuff. But you guys have plenty of manpower in Evergreen Park.
We have more. We have 65 full-time, 62, 65 full-time police officers in this town.
Yeah.
It's worth every penny.
It's a lot. And you do a really good job of having a presence over at the plaza, which has gotten really busy. And when I go over there and I do something, you can see the presence at the plaza. They do a very good job of making people like and they probably have to do that. There's a lot of commerce. It's right next to the city of Chicago. There are people who think that like once you run across the border, you're free. And so I think it looks like sometimes like a target to people who think they can jump in and jump out of the village. And they do a very good job of being there, present, and keeping it safe and a good place to shop at.
We had some issues last year, carjacking up on Menards.
Yeah.
What we can do, what we've done as a village is, of course, you can always increase your police presence, but they can't be everywhere. So the mayor, talked to the mayor, met with the police chief. We installed several more flock cameras over there. Every entrance.
Those are those things that read the license plates.
Instantly. So 99.9% of your crimes are from a stolen vehicle. The minute that flock reads that stolen plate, it sends it right to the squad car computer.
Yeah.
And that squad can be before these troublemakers get out and start trouble.
Right, so they're driving over in the stolen car. Right, yeah.
They know that they can't get a stolen car in that parking lot without alerting the Evergreen Park police. So it's stopped over there. Crime is just
so smart.
It's going over. The technology
it's
wins.
so interesting too. Like it's like, okay, well, let's go do some crime. What do we need? We need a car. Okay, let's get a stolen car and let's go do some crime. And you guys, that's how you're identifying them coming in. Because they're driving a stolen car, and you have that system. That's amazing. It's incredible.
Goes to the car computer. Yeah. Those police are there, and they're flying up there, and those police are there before those bad guys have a chance to be bad.
It's awesome.
So they know that.
Yeah.
They don't come around.
Yeah. I love it. That's awesome.
That's just the police chief and the mayor did that, and it's just great technology.
All right. I'm going to let you go. But before I let you go, who do you got in the Super Bowl? Taylor Swift?
Is it the Bears still in there?
Taylor Swift in the Super Bowl? She going to win?
I was a Detroit guy because they haven't won anything in 200 years.
I was rooting for them. I was rooting for Detroit.
And it's 24-7. And it's 24-7. I'm like, oh, they got this. And when they collapse, I don't have a horse in a race, but I think Kansas City is the better team. I'm a Mahomes. I think Mahomes is just a fantastic athlete.
He's a good quarterback. I didn't like the thing when he whined earlier on in the year when he didn't like the fact that this guy got called for offsides and then he was yelling at Josh Allen at the handshake like he got ripped off. And he just reminded me of like a kid that just can't take a loss that you would pull aside in Little League and be like, that's not how we do it, Billy. Like, I mean, like, that's kind of how he's a really good quarterback, right? Like, really good quarterback. But, like, I'm always the guy who wants the underdog and the person hasn't won in a while. I want Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy to go out there and win for San Francisco.
It'd be nice.
Yeah.
One last question to you because you got your Bears shirt on.
Yeah.
Keep Fields or draft a new quarterback?
Draft a new guy. I like Justin Fields. It's nothing against Justin Fields. 5 years of low-cost control of a guy that every national pundit says is a generational talent. The guy from Stanford said if Andrew Luck was 100%, going to be a good player in the NFL. This guy's 99.999. That's all I got to hear. Okay, I mean, like this guy, like you take your shot with that guy because you can't really build a team in the NFL these days, having to pay high money to a quarterback. And it may not even be Justin Fields' fault that things didn't go well. I mean, he didn't really get the structure he should have gotten. But you gotta restart with this new guy. I'm going with Caleb Williams.
And I just remind you why the Bears have a first-round draft pick by a gentleman in Carolina named Bryce Young, and it hasn't done too well.
That is true.
So you don't know what you're going to get.
But Bryce Young didn't have that kind of hype. That's all I'm saying. He didn't have the hype that Williams has.
Enough to get the first-round pick and enough for Carolina to give us everything.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens. In the end, I don't care. Here's my main thing. I just want them to win. I don't care who they win with.
Right.
Okay? If they don't win next year, everybody should be fired. That's all I'm saying. So they better make the right choice.
I was at the playoff game when Cody Parkey hit the field goal and it went off the post, and you couldn't believe the whole stadium went, oh
yeah. So, audible groan.
I go, I'm not going to Bears game until they start winning again.
Mark Marzullo, thanks so much.
Thank you for having me, and have a beautiful day.
It's the EP Podcast. All things Evergreen Park. It's the EP Podcast. Evergreen Park.